Hi, this is Chandra Prowell,
And Katie Lutz.
and we're with Edina Public Schools doing an Academy screencast about absolute pitch. We are now moving on to the worksheet part of our screencast, and we are going to start with our hand staff from the wrap that we just did. Think about the lines and spaces wrap and see if you can label the lines and the spaces with the alphabet letters, our musical alphabet we talked about. We're going to push pause, and you push pause too while you figure it out, and then come back to us and we will reveal the answers. All right, so you had a little bit of time to work it out, and hopefully you remembered those E, G, B, D, F, E, G, B, D, F, E, G, B, D, F,
Those are the lines on the treble clef, and there they are written out for you so nicely.
And remember that if it's the high D or the high F, we just add a little apostrophe up at the top. And now the spaces, if you remember, were
F, A,
C, E, F, A, C, E, F, A, C, E.
And the spaces spell
face with
there
a little
is.
notch up at the top of the C and the top of the E to remind us that it's high. All right, so you got that done, and now your next step in your worksheet here is we've got some notes written on the staff, and your job is just to label what alphabet pitch name is and put it in the blank below. So again, we're going to hit pause.
Well, and you can, isn't it handy, once again, you can check your answers a couple of ways or figure this out a couple of ways by looking at, for example, you see the first one's filled out for you, it's F. Well, I could have looked above at the label and seen where I wrote a note in the first space. Oh, I wrote a letter F in that first space. That means it's note F. Or I could look at that note in the first space and think about my wrap and say, okay, what's the space part? That's F-A-C-E, F. Oh, that's the first space. So that's how I'm going to fill out this part of the worksheet. We'll show you the answers after you filled it out.
All right. All right, you're back, and so are we. And hopefully you took the time to fill out all of these answers here. We are now going to reveal the answers to you in two ways. We're going to show you the letter and also show you where it is on the hand staff.
Yeah, so while you were figuring out, you could make sure that you saw if you were right.
So F you already know. Our next one right here is in the third space of the hand staff.
F-A-C.
And there's our answer. The next one is on a line.
Third line, E-G-B.
And there's your answer. The next one is on a space again, but it's a second space.
F-A.
Okay. There's the A.
And here I've got top line. I bet I could just go right to that and say that's F because I've done my wrap so many times.
And it's just in your head. All right, now we've got the fourth line. Notice that we always call this line 1 and we always call this line 5. So our fourth line,
E-G-B-D.
There's our D. And now the second one,
E-G.
Okay. And oh, this one's on a space. The top space.
F-A-C-E.
There's the E. And our last one.
So easy. The first line, E.
E. Okay.
Little pinky finger.
Now we're going to scroll this down here to the next part of your worksheet, which you've got in front of you. It says draw the note on the staff above the alphabet pitch name labeled below. So we'll do the first one for you. This is a B, and that is going to look like that. The B is just a little bit above, just a little bit below. In fact, the B line is going right through the middle of our note. That way there's no confusion about whether it's a line, is it a space, I don't know. It's really, really clear when it's half and half like that. And when you do a space, look up here, make sure that the space note head is touching the top of the space and the bottom of the space and not crossing over, so there's no confusion about whether it's on a line or in a space.
And be sure to watch for those apostrophes too, because if you see an F with an apostrophe, that means it's going to be the top line F instead of the low space F. So you can use your hand staff reference that you labeled above to help you with that as well.
All right, we're going to push pause and come back together in a few minutes and once you're done with this. All right, we're back, and you have put your notes, your note heads on the staff here in the lines and spaces, and now we're going to reveal them, and starting with our G.
We've got G, if I say my rap, E, G,
so that's
second line.
Second line right there.
Here's my low F, so I'm going to start with my spaces, F.
There it is.
Right there.
Now this one's the high F.
Checking high F, E, G, B, D, F. That's the top line.
There we go.
My high E, if I think about it, is that F, A, C, E. Yep, there we go. That's going to be in the top space. E, G, B, D.
That's going to be on a line.
E, low E is my bottom line. That's where I start with my rap. And then F, A, second line. And you know, I could think to myself, I can't remember if A is a line or a space. If I say my line one, E, G, B, D, F, did I say any A's? No. This is a no-brainer. But just so that you can check in case you're not sure. And then we have F, A, C.
There it is. High C. And there's the answer. All right, moving on.
Hopefully this was very easy.
Ha ha ha. That was good on Miss Lutes. All right, we are reaching the end of our worksheet here. So this is the last thing you need to do. You're going to spell the words on the staff below. Don't forget to separate each word with a bar line. And look at this first word, egg. There are two options for E, so you have two possible right answers. So we're going to hit pause while you get to work using some other references if you need, and then we'll reveal the answers. All right, we're back. And now let's reveal our answers. So the first word was egg, E, G, G. There's E, G, G, but remember there are two E's. You could have done that one as well. And then, since we're done with the word, we throw a bar line on. Do you want to do the next one, Miss Lutes?
Sure. We have bag, B, A, G. That's definitely one you'll want to store in your brain for a recorder.
And now, since we're done with that word, we throw up a bar line. Our next one, dad. Here's D, A, and D. If some of you are in piano and you know that there's another D down here, just hanging on to the bottom line, I could have done that D. They both would have been correct answers for those of you that have that.
That's using the musical alphabet, remembering the pattern.
Yep, and in fact, G could have been up there too, because it's above F, and if you remember the pattern, G comes after F. All right, let's throw up a bar line and do our last one.
Like to call for a cab, C-A-B.
C, A, and B. And there we go. We are done. You have finished your worksheet. Make sure that your name is on it. And you can hand it in and catch us for our next screencast in which we start writing our compositions on the staff.